Hello and welcome back. This week we're dealing with demons with our speaker Tony Randall. He explores mental health and the exorcism in Mark chapter 5. I hope you find this podcast interesting. God bless. See you next time.
Welcome to this custom deep dive put together just for you. Today we're looking at a really striking piece of audio.
Yeah, it's a profoundly personal sermon, one that attempts to bridge the gap between ancient biblical narratives and, modern mental health struggles.
Right. And our mission today is to unpack how the speaker uses his own raw personal history to contextualize a famous biblical story.
Exactly. And just to be clear right up front, we will be exploring the source's theological claims about demons and divine healing, but our goal here is to examine the message objectively.
Yeah, we aren't endorsing a specific religious viewpoint or anything. We're simply looking at how intensely human experiences frame the text.
Right. And I was really struck by how the speaker opens things up. I mean, he doesn't start with scripture at all.
No, he goes way back to this visceral childhood memory. It was over 80 years ago at a Woolworths in Basingstoke.
Yeah, he was just a young boy peering over a balcony, watching a man on the floor screaming and wildly waving his arms.
He says it took 5 policemen wrestling the man on the ground just to restrain him.
Which is terrifying. But he's using that memory as a prologue for an even more heartbreaking story much closer to home, the story of his own mother.
Yeah, the source details that in her 30s, she developed what we'd now probably call bipolar disorder or schizophrenia.
Experiencing complete isolation and noises banging in her head.
And then the audio details her electroshock therapy. He says it, quote, mashed up her mind. Is he explicitly blaming the medical community there?
I'd say it's less about casting blame and more about drawing a striking historical parallel. He forces us to see that mid-20th century treatments like that therapy, which left her unable to function and eventually led to a fatal tablet overdose, they share a tragic DNA with ancient practices.
Right, because society's instinct to isolate and physically restrain the quote-unquote mad hasn't actually changed much in 2,000 years.
Exactly. He even ties these modern examples of profound suffering to the Old Testament story of King Saul.
Oh, yeah, where Saul's unchecked jealousy toward David just engulfs his entire life in badness.
It's a harrowing picture of isolation.
It really is. And that specific theme of isolation seems to be exactly how the speaker bridges the gap from his mother's tragedy to the core biblical text in Mark chapter 5.
Because if you've ever felt completely misunderstood or isolated by your own struggles, you can see why the speaker emphasizes the geography of this story so heavily.
Right, the framing is crucial here. Jesus deliberately crosses the Sea of Galilee.
Yeah, he isn't seeking out a massive adoring crowd. He goes entirely out of his way to reach one specific, deeply isolated person.
He arrives to find a man living in a graveyard, self-harming, ostracized, and possessing this manic strength where he regularly breaks free from iron chains.
And the way the exorcism itself unfolds in the audio, the pacing of that moment feels very deliberate.
Jesus acts almost immediately. He commands the spirits to leave before the man even gives his proper name.
Curiously, the man gives the name of his brother instead.
Which, the source notes, is a way to indicate a complex affliction. That it wasn't just a single issue, but many forces troubling him.
The speaker highlights that detail to show the depth of the man's torment. And from there, the spirits are sent into a herd of pigs that immediately run into the lake.
Leaving this stark contrast to the chaos we saw at the beginning, the previously terrifying, unapproachable man is suddenly sitting there, fully clothed, sane, and completely at peace.
So what is the ultimate message the speaker is delivering to his congregation through these parallels?
The core theological message is that turning to Jesus offers profound peace for the weary and troubled. But there's a vital secondary point, too.
Right. When the healed man wants to leave the graveyard and go with Jesus, he's told no.
The speaker emphasizes that those who find healing are called to stay and share their story with their community, rather than hiding away or isolating themselves again.
Moving from deep isolation to true community reintegration.
It's a fascinating lens to view the text through. And it leaves us with a final thought for you to ponder today. If severe isolation is the common thread tying together the modern tragedy of the speaker's mother and the ancient man in the graveyard,
to what extent does true restoration begin the exact moment someone simply chooses to cross a difficult boundary? Just to sit with the sufferer?